Hello, I'm Eliza, and today I'm going to be talking about Lyme's disease, or Borrelia. I'm going to be discussing 4 things. What is Lyme's disease? Number 2, how did it arise? Number 3, what treatments are available for the treatment of Borrelia Lyme's disease? And number 4, what kind of preventative measures can we take to prevent getting bitten by a tick, which causes the Lyme's disease, according to the medical model. Lyme's disease then, what is it? It's said to be transmitted to humans by the bite of a tick, which is infected by the bacteria of Borrelia. There are different types of Borrelia now, not just one type of Borrelia, because this is a bacteria that has supposedly mutated, and so now there are different types of Borrelia that are transmissible. According to the medical model as well, if it's left untreated, then the infection can spread to other parts of the body, leading to paralysis in the limbs, muscle pain, chronic fatigue type symptoms. The typical symptoms also of the Borrelia would include fever, body aches, fatigue, headaches, and the circular outwardly expanding rash at the time of the bite, called erythema migrans, or EM for short. So, number 2, how did Lyme's disease come about? Well, there was this island called Plum Island in Lyme County in America. This Plum Island was the Animals Disease Center, and in the United States it's named as the Federal Research Facility, which is dedicated to the study of foreign animal diseases of livestock, so the foreign diseases of livestock animals. It's part of the Defense of Homeland Security for Science Technology, and also operates as a partnership with the US Department of Agriculture. Since 1954, the centre has had the role of protecting America's livestock from animal diseases, and during the Cold War, a secret biological weapons program which targeted livestock was conducted at the site, which ended in 1969 when President Nixon declared an end to the United States offensive on bioweapons and that program. There's a quote that I'd like to read from the British Medical Journal, which is a journal for medical doctors and a recognised research source, which states that the US House of Representatives has ordered the Pentagon's Inspector General to conduct a review of whether the Defense Department was experimenting with ticks and other insects regarding the use of biological weapons between the years of 1950 and 1975. So the fact that they ordered a review of the goings-on this island called Plum Island is very interesting in itself. I don't know what the outcome of that review was exactly, but maybe I'll provide an update on that at some future time, which will be very interesting. The biological research that occurred on this Plum Island was to secure government biological research, and it was since 1945, as I mentioned, and it was an island that was surrounded by water, but this, due to, I don't know if it's global warming or what the situation was, but the water receded so that actually the island became landlocked, and so the deer and the wildlife that was actually restricted to the island could then walk across this strip of land, maybe at low tide, and access the mainland. So of course this was the spread of whatever these animals had, the ticks that were there on the island, then became globalized, and now we have ticks everywhere in the world. I live in Switzerland, and here in this area is actually a very high tick populated zone, to the point where when I moved here, when I went to the local council offices, they actually provide you with tick information of how to protect yourself. They give you a little plastic scoopy thing that's supposed to remove the ticks, which doesn't actually. It's a very poor way of removing a tick, but anyway, they inform you and advise you to be aware, to wear long trousers tucked into your socks when you're out and about, to check your body regularly, to treat your pets with tick repellents, and medication to protect yourself for that. So it's a worldwide problem, and apparently it's one of the number one growing illnesses in the world. So, how to remove a tick safely? Not with this plastic device that I was given here in Argao. I will post a link, that will be the first link that I post at the bottom in the description here, to a website of how you can safely remove a tick. I'm not going to get into that this time. I'm more honing in on alternative methods to people who've been infected with Lyme's disease or the Borrelia virus. So the main way to treat the Borrelia virus or Lyme's disease, if you go to your doctors, they will probably recommend antibiotics. Antibiotics, though, are only effective from the day of the bite up to 30 days. After that, they lose their efficacy window, and so don't really help people that have chronic Lyme's disease. So what can you do if you have chronic Lyme's disease? There are various types of treatment. And I'm going to put the second link that I put up will be a chart which basically goes into all of the alternative solutions that you may want to consider if you have Lyme's disease. It lists them all, from sauna treatments to oxygen therapy to medical marijuana treatment to herbal remedies, electromagnetic therapy. It lists them all, and it lists the effectiveness of them, because there were studies done to show how effective they were, and also the side effects that patients reported. So you can have a look to see what would be suitable for you, something that you might want to look into. That's the link number 2. I myself had the Borrelia virus. It was detected when I had electromagnetic therapy back in 2007. I treated it with electromagnetic therapy, which really helped me, and basically it helped me to get rid of my fibromyalgia and also my chronic fatigue. So that's one option that you may want to consider. I didn't really know about all these alternatives that I could have at this time, so that's why I had what was available to me and what was suggested to me, which was electromagnetic therapy. But to be honest, I don't remember being bitten by a tick. And I'm quite an aware person. I know what's going on my skin. I would have been able to feel like the little bump if I'd been bitten by a tick, I'm sure of it. But that just goes to show that it's not 100% that it's only ticks that can infect you, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later on when I talk about another doctor who did research in that field. So there could be one explanation for that. When a tick does bite you, it injects the tick's version of an anaesthetic, and so it would numb that area, so you wouldn't necessarily know that you'd been bitten. So if it bit you, say for example it bit me in an area that I couldn't feel, maybe on my back or somewhere else, then it could have dropped off, and maybe I just didn't get a rash, I didn't get any inflammation. That also varies from person to person. Some people's immune systems are stronger than others, although to be honest, I think I should have realised it, seeing as my immune system back then wasn't very good. But I have no recollection and no memory of having a tick bite at all. So this second doctor that I want to talk to you about later on, a Dr. Klinghardt, he basically says it's not only ticks that carry the Borrelia virus. Spiders, what's the other one? Other insects, for example, mosquitoes, also can carry the Lyme's disease, Borrelia virus. So it's a bit tricky, isn't it? What do we do? Pretty much everything carries it and passes it on to us. So what I'm going to do is post another link to a Dr. Harry Hong, who is a Ph.D. doctor. He did a study on electromagnetic therapy, which proves the efficacy of this treatment. I'm walking proof that electromagnetic therapy works. And it doesn't just treat Lyme's disease, it treats a whole host of chronic disease. If you've watched my previous videos on my health journey, I had the electromagnetic therapy primarily for my autoimmune disease, which is granulomatosis, polyangiitis. It used to be called something else, that's why I forget the name sometimes. Also chronic diseases like MS, lupus. Electromagnetic therapy is a beautifully holistic way of treating diseases like that, chronic illnesses that doctors have no solution for. other than long-term medication with a whole list of side effects. So might be something that you want to consider. And I will post a link to that study that this Dr. Hong did. I don't know if he's Chinese, sounds Chinese, Harry Hong, to the study that he did on electromagnetic therapy. Also, another option by this Dr.-Klinghardt that I was referring to earlier on, with the suggested idea that also other insects can transmit the Borrelia virus to us. He was interviewed by a Dr. Joseph Mercola. Maybe you've heard of him. He's the founder of Mercola.com. He's also an osteopathic physician, a best-selling author, and a New York Times writer. He also won multiple awards in the field of natural health, as he has the primary vision of changing the modern health paradigm by providing people with a valuable resource to help them take control of their own health, which is something I'm passionate about too. So I really like Dr. Mercola and his angle on health as a medical doctor himself. I'll post the link to the interview that he did with this Dr. Dietrich-Klinghardt about Lyme's disease. It's a YouTube video, and he gives a fantastic holistic approach to the treatment of Lyme's disease. I was fascinated listening to this interview. He talks about how to eliminate it using a variety of treatments and methods, from reducing or eliminating mold from your home, and also using electromagnetic frequencies in the home to shield the home, to prevent from the EMFs, which I'll talk a bit about a bit later on, which basically is all electromagnetic negative fields, man-made, for example Wi-Fi. I'll talk a bit about that later on. Also, this Dr. Klinghardt, he uses a bee venom treatment. Apparently bee venom has been very, very effective in the treatment of Lyme's disease and killing the Borrelia virus. So if you want to get rid of your Lyme's disease and you've exhausted all the other treatment options that are available to you, I would highly recommend this doctor, who is a medical physician. He's a Ph.D. and it's pretty cool things that he's talking about in that interview there, so the link will be there in the description as well. Also his website, because he treats people. Unfortunately, he's based in America, but I did see that one of the practitioners is based in the UK. So, and I'm sure now with Corona there are ways that they can treat you long distance if you want to look into getting treated by Dr. Klinghardt and his team. Very interesting. Also, there's another YouTube video that I would highly recommend watching, which is by a Dr. Christine Horner. She's a natural health expert and an author, and there'll be a link to her interview, very short YouTube video interview. She was interviewed by this news channel, and her angle is basically to strengthen your immune system. So other than the obvious things where you would eat a healthy diet and have a healthy lifestyle as much as possible, she focuses also on increasing vitamins in your diet, such as healthy omega-3 fatty acids, very, very good for treating the Borrelia. Vitamin D, magnesium, she mentions CoQ10 and B vitamins. But the main recommended supplement that she would recommend is something called, that I'd never heard of, AHCC, capital letters, look it up. It's a Japanese mushroom-based capsule or tablet. It's been compounded into this supplement, and a pilot study has been done on it to show that after 8 weeks, both patients who've had a new diagnosis of Borrelia, but also long-term chronically ill patients with Lyme disease, that they had no signs of the Lyme disease after 8 weeks. So that's pretty cool as well. So it's called AHCC. It's a Japanese mushroom fungal kind of treatment. So very interesting. Another option would be herbal remedies. And I'm going to post another link, lots of links today, on the 7 herbs that kill Lyme's disease in a test tube. This is another research study that was done. It was published in the journal Frontiers in Medicine, and it was a laboratory study, and these 7 herbs have been shown to kill the Lyme's disease in a test tube. So these 7 herbs are, this first name is really hard to say, I'm going to try my best. It's called Cryptolepis sanguinolenta. Sounds Spanish. and that's one of them. The others are black walnut, I know that one, black walnut hull, Japanese knotweed, sweet wormwood, cat's claw, cistus incanus, and Chinese skullcap. All of these herbs have antibacterial, antimicrobacterial, antifungal, and anti-parasite properties. So they are brilliant. There are also other herbs like powdered arco, marshmallow root, and other herbs as well that could help. And these are just examples of the concoction of herbs that you can take to heal your body and to kill the Borrelia virus. So I'll post the link to that in the description as well. That will be under the heading of herbal options. So we have that, but going along with the herbal remedies, I would totally recommend that you see a registered practitioner, a naturopath, a herbalist, a recommended one, a good one. Research it, find a good one, because herbs are powerful and you want to make sure you're taking the right amount in the right order and in a tailored way for you, because they're all different. I remember being on herbs for quite a long time, and I remember feeling quite doolally, to be honest, because I wasn't regulating the use of the herbs. They are very powerful, so I really would recommend that you see someone who knows what they're doing with the herbs. Yes, so that's herbs. At the same time, for my own illness, I had the electromagnetic therapy. There's something else that I want to mention along with that. She recommended that I do something about the electromagnetic fields that I was surrounded by. And she talked to me a lot about the effect of electromagnetism and in an illness. Normally on healthy people, they may not notice the effects of electromagnetic devices. I'm talking about man-made ones, I'm talking about Wi-Fi, I'm talking about pylons, I'm talking about your cordless phone at home and your so if you have an electric plug-in electric alarm clock, they're really not very good. Get rid of it. Get a battery-powered alarm clock if you need one. So basically, the reason why she spoke to me a lot about that is because the risk of extra bacteria and parasites that go along with ticks and other insect bites, because the ticks carry they don't just carry Borrelia, they carry lots of other parasites and bacteria in them as well. And the electro-wireless technology that we use in our day-to-day life enhances the reproduction and the proliferation of these bugs that the ticks carry, or the spider carries, or the mosquitoes carry. So once they enter our body, these electro devices that we use, they multiply them. So this is why it's so important, and this is something that Dr. Klinghardt goes into in much more detail in the video I mentioned that I posted on YouTube video. He talks a lot about that and about how we can reduce the effects of the things that we pick up from these bugs. So I would highly recommend reducing, if not eliminating, all of the man-made wireless technology that you have in your home, especially in your sleep zone. So in my bedroom, I unplug everything in there. The TV, I don't have an electric alarm clock, I don't have my mobile phone on, I unplug everything, because even the electricity creates a field around the TV. I think a TV has an electric field of 1 meter all the way around it. So 1 meter into your room, which if that creeps into your bed space, that is having an effect on you while you're sleeping. So I unplug everything, get a battery-powered alarm clock. Especially if you're electrically sensitive, you will be able to sense it. I also turn my Wi-Fi off at night, my phone goes on airplane mode, and I ground and earth myself regularly, because this allows the body to get rid of all the electrostatic that we carry. We can't earth through rubber-soled shoes or concrete, and that's what we live on. So go outside, it's nice now, it's easy to do it, take your shoes and socks off and stand on the grass, or hug some trees, whatever you like. You can earth through hugging a tree. I don't know, maybe that's where tree hugging comes from, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's what I do, and you'll have a deeper sleep. You will be able to allow your body to go into its natural healing phase much better without the influence of these electromagnetic negative frequencies. I also wouldn't live within 500 meters of a mobile phone mast or those huge electric pylons that you see. And there have been studies to show that they affect people negatively and can be cancer triggering. So basically, all man-made frequencies, they place an added stressor on the body, especially when you're sleeping. And it's because when you're sleeping, all of these body functions are at a lowered level. So everything is toned down when you're trying to sleep or when you're sleeping. And this is because the body goes into healing mode. So the body is not going to be able to perform those functions as well if you're getting zapped by all these negative frequencies. The body needs healing frequencies in order to go through its healing processes. So that's why I'd recommend highly to unplug things and be in a nice peaceful sleep zone so that you can heal more effectively. So yes, you might want to try that. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, I want to talk about German new medicine and Borrelia virus. So basically, if you take nothing else away from the German new medicine angle or paradigm, basically it is encouraging us to reduce the stress and the panic and the whole fear-inducing aspect associated with ticks. I remember before I looked into German new medicine, before I subscribed to it, every time my dog got a tick, I went into panic mode. And because I'd read all these things online about, oh, these dogs with Lyme's disease and the dog's like going into spasm and he can't breathe and all this stuff. I was afraid. I was so afraid. And our dogs aren't stupid, animals aren't stupid. They sense that fear. So that fear is then having an effect on him. So basically the German new medicine angle is that you become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think that this tick is going to give you Lyme's disease and you're going to become paralyzed and you're going to become chronically fatigued, then you will. You become that self-fulfilling prophecy. So even if you only take that away from it, try not to be afraid of the ticks. Try not to be afraid of the Lyme's disease or the Borrelia virus, because there's a lot of fear-mongering going on out there, and it's the same with anything. The German new medicine, this is the angle for pretty much everything. If you are afraid of it, it's going to affect your body, and in a negative way. They even say you can die of Lyme's disease. And people don't need to hear that. They need to know, they need to hear what can we do about it? How can we protect ourselves? How can we prevent it? How can we treat it? We can sort it out, no problem. So I speak calmingly to myself now when my dog gets a tick. I even actually even held the tick and let it crawl on my finger when I took it off him. And it just crawled around a little bit around there, and then I just flushed it down the sink. But I wasn't afraid of it. It belongs to the spider family. It's like a mini spider. Okay, you're not going to harm me, and just, get rid of them. And I give my dog treatments for his ticks. So that's okay. But yes, so basically, just take that away from it. We all know that stress causes disease, right? So try not to get stressed about it. It's just a little animal, it's not going to kill you. Try and view it like that. But based on the German new medicine, to give you a bit of the technical side as to how that would work, basically, when you get a tick bite, you get like a red area around the bite itself, and then a wider ring would be the inflammation associated with the infection. So, but basically, it's the same as when you get bitten by a bee. You get a sting mark, you get a bite, it's going to hurt, it's going to be inflamed, you might get swelling, and the blood flow will be increased to that area, which is a real thing that's happened, you've been bitten. So basically the symptoms of things like muscle paralysis and the joint pain, the muscle pain, the meningitis type symptoms that are brought on, basically it's because of the panic of the attack. And also you could retain water because it could induce this fear of death. So which is in German new medicine, it's called an existence conflict. You're fearing for your existence or for your life. So this makes the symptoms worse. So you're kind of feeding the illness and the effects of it. So the same would be, for example, if you are afraid of the diseases that you could have contracted from the tick, Then you have what they call in German New Medicine a feeling soiled conflict. You feel infected, you feel dirty, you feel you're devaluing yourself. You have the self-devaluation conflict where you're like, oh no, I'm going to get sick and I might die, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, and also the German New Medicine paradigm, it suggests that this antibody test that they do for Lyme's disease, it's inconclusive. It's not consistently able to diagnose whether you have Lyme's disease or not. And it also would explain why the Borrelia virus's symptoms differ from person to person. One person with Borrelia exhibits like this, another one exhibits completely differently. Why is that? So this is the German New Medicine approach to Lyme's disease and the Borrelia virus. So I'll post the link to more information on the German New Medicine side of things as well. And lastly, but ultimately lastly, because German New Medicine must be lastly, ultimately lastly, essential oils do work. You might read a lot of things online. Oh, just get your DEET for the prevention of tick bites. You know, the chemicalized version of everyone knows DEET, I think. It's to prevent bites and insects. They say, oh, DEET is better, the chemicals are better, but essential oils do work. And the reason why I can say that is because I will post a link to the National Library of Medicine, which published their findings in another medical journal, which is read by doctors and subscribed to by doctors, of the efficacy of oils on tick prevention. So this is the last thing I will talk about is tick prevention, and the link will be there for you to see that they did publish findings, published research on this to say that they do work. So this Dr. Christine Horner was her name, I think, the natural health expert that I referred to earlier on. She recommends using a combination of oils such as witch hazel, lemon of eucalyptus, vodka, and geranium. There are others as well. I will leave a list to them, and also I'll put a link on how to mix the oils, so you can actually make up your own concoction. I have my own one here, and for a 15 ml container, which is this size, I think, you would have only 10 to 15 drops of your oil. So I've got oil of lemon of eucalyptus here, so I would put that's the mainly efficient one. So I would put, for example, 5 drops of this in here, and then with it full of oil, or you can use vodka instead if you want, and then you would top the rest up with witch hazel, geranium, and the other essential oils that are recommended for tick prevention. And you just spray on yourself, and I spray my dog, and it smells lovely as well, and then you're ready to go outside and not worry about ticks. Keep calm and carry on, and then you're grand, and job's a good one. So that's it for this time. I hope it's helped you to lower your fear as regards getting bitten by a tick, that there are lots of things that we can do to help ourselves, ways to treat it, especially alternatives to antibiotics, which really are very limited in their efficacy. And until next time, take care of yourselves and enjoy the outdoors.